Good morning, everybody. This is Mark Gomes, PTT Research, coming back at you again. Some weeks it doesn't pay to get out of bed. Obviously, yesterday's news on GTAT coded as anything but devastatingly negative. But today I am here to move on to something that is happening today that is quite the opposite, in my opinion. Actually, opportunistic. We've got the streetsweeper.com. I've actually had discussions with this company and chose not to do business with them. I do not trust these folks or their analysis. That's not to say that they're bad people or anything. Could they be a sounding board for the shorts? Potentially. But I think they've had a spotty track record. In general, they do a decent job. They're worth watching. In this case, the article that they wrote on GLUU Mobile was absolutely terrible. It was really poorly written. It shows very low understanding of the business, but that happens. It's not the first negative article that's come out on the stock, and in fact, in any of our picks, especially when you look at the risk-reward charts, when a stock is at its low, that's when people feel most confident about knocking it down. And we had the same thing happen back here when they did their secondary offering and when Deer Hunter was going out, and that's when people chose to jump on the bandwagon and hit it hard. Same thing's happening here, in my opinion. In fact, I'm pleased to see this movement. Nobody likes to lose 7% in a day, as we see GLUU is down. But if we close in on our risk-reward chart, we see that this is the kind of capitulation moment that can spur a nice recovery. Okay, and obviously it really all comes down to fundamentals. So what are the fundamentals here? We'll get back to this in a moment. My assessment of the situation is that, as I stated, the article was very poorly written. They dismissed Kim Kardashian on Facebook, and that skirts around the fact that while Facebook is not a predominant platform for gaming, it can provide 10 or 20% of a company's revenue. So to add that game to the Facebook platform, it certainly wasn't a catalyst, right? They added the game to Facebook somewhere right around here, and the stock didn't go anywhere. So to call it a non-event and have the stock drop as part of that thesis doesn't really make much sense. And indeed, I do see it as a positive, albeit a modest one, but certainly not a negative. The company, I think, has done phenomenally well this quarter. Their performance has been great. The bashing in the article of the Kim Kardashian game fails to recognize that the game has, on multiple occasions, dropped out of the top 6 and bounced back into the top 6. So it shows some longevity, some ability to for the company to come out with updates and keep the game going. They also fail to recognize that this game can be replicated with other famous folks. If you go to the members forum, somebody did a phenomenal job of pointing out the folks out there that have millions, if not tens of millions, of Twitter followers that make perfect targets for GLUU to form a partnership and create a game just like Kim Kardashian for other stars. And of course, Kim K, as far as stars goes, certainly doesn't represent the majority of the world's star power. There are bigger stars out there, and certainly a lot more of them. So, the article kind of failed to look at that. And as far as this quarter coming up, I think they're going to post a very strong quarter. They showed great strength and staying power with Kim Kardashian. Deer Hunter remains high. So basically, this company continues to execute very well, and anybody who understands the story well knows this. and unfortunately, I don't believe that the street sweeper is one of them. So we've hit a nice short-term risk-reward bottom. Certainly, if the market drops further, we have risk for the stock, for GLUU to drop with the market, and that's why we put our hedges in place, and we've had our stock market yellow alerts, and of course those have served us well. You see the market is falling further, and if we go back to, if we make this a 1-year chart, in fact, maybe we just hit the 1-year button is all we need to do, and you see that we've basically gone nowhere. We're very marginally above where we were at this time last year. So you see this rounding pattern that's forming. That's potentially problematic. I don't like to use technicals as a guide, because certainly we've gone down a lot. It wouldn't surprise me to see us bounce, and nor would it surprise me to see us bounce all the way back up. That doesn't mean you want to act on that, right? Fundamentally, I think the situation is flawed around the world. We've talked about that in other videos. So you want to have your hedges in place, but you also want to own the companies that you love, especially when everybody else doesn't love them. Remember, that's one of my favorite criteria, right? If a stock is universally hated, then the stock is universally as cheap as it can get. So we're pretty much getting there with the bad publicity from our tough pick yesterday, and obviously investors' confidence is shaken. And so if people want to, weigh PTT Research's analysis against GLUU's, then the predisposition will be to go along with the street sweeper on this, and that's fine by me, because it just gives me an opportunity to buy more, as I did this morning. This is a snippet of what I've done today. There's actually been more buying on my part in GLUU. You see in my video here, my video on the chart, that I've taken it back up in the methodology to a 10% position. It was 9%, just to be a little cautious, because the trend was our friend on the downside and we hadn't reached this risk reward bottom. This gives us an opportunity to fill out that position, and here's the proof in the pudding. Keep in mind, look, there's my big new additional short position on the Russell to protect my buying in GLUU Mobile. Okay, so full disclosure, full transparency here. This is just textbook methodology working in place. We'll see what ends up happening. I believe that my fundamentals are going to prove true. Whether or not the stock reacts in favor of that remains to be seen, but most of the time that works out, right? So we focus on the fundamentals, and we let the stock market do whatever it will with that, and over time, if you're right on the fundamentals, you make money. So we'll see how this plays out here, and so that's about it for now. And of course, as usual, through ups and downs, through thick and thin, PTT Research is here to teach you the lessons that made Warren Buffett a billionaire and Peter Lynch famous. Stick with us, and we'll stick with you and teach you more lessons through ups and downs, through good calls and bad. And hopefully, someday you too may be a billionaire like Buffett. Till next time, wishing you great prosperity and saying take care.